Hello, Thomas. Today we're going to talk about the importance of liquidity and cash planning. Thomas, you're the founder of Cashplanner, exactly something that meets the need of having a good cash planning. So, Thomas, maybe briefly introduce yourself. Who is Thomas? Why did you start up Cashplanner? And that's it.
All right. Hi, Cedric. Thanks for having me. Indeed, I'm the founder of Cashplanner. We are a B2B SaaS startup. We have been incorporated since 4 years ago,
Okay.
and I started Cashplanner after having some experiences as an entrepreneur myself. So, in my first venture, I struggled a bit with finance and planning forward. So, what at a specific moment, I felt I had no idea what was coming for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I had this business running, and then business was running pretty well, but at certain times, I felt I had not the liquidity or not the cash to pay my invoices on time, and I didn't know why. What was the reason for that? So I went to a friend and I told him about my situation, and he told me that I should keep a cash planning in Excel. So what I did was I forecasted my revenue for the next 3 months, let's say, and I put my expenses under that. So in the coming 3 months, I knew what my possibilities were.
Yeah.
And by tracking this and forecasting consistently, let's say, I had my business on the rails again.
Yeah.
So I was an entrepreneur without any financial background. I knew what I was doing on a business level, but the finance aspect was less my thing. So after that first venture, I switched to tech, to development programming software,
Mm-hmm.
and I always remembered that idea or the situation where I was in. So I had the idea to help other entrepreneurs like myself without a financial background, and offer them a solution, a software solution to automate this and to make it easy to do some cash flow forecasting. So that was the reason I started Cashplanner.
Yeah, a lot of interesting topics you talk about there, because in my experience as well, a lot of entrepreneurs, I see them more as creative people, artists, in the sense they're very strong in their technical knowledge, but then when it comes to money or sales, it's less into the top of their mind. So in your case as well, did you have to make then a mind switch? Did you have to become then less technical, or how did it evolve there?
It's not becoming. It is a mind switch. It's more of a switch of focus.
Mm-hmm.
At a certain moment, I realized that only doing the business or doing what I'm good at is just not enough. You also have to spend some time on the numbers as well.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, we don't want to do that all the time. We want to do what we like to do.
Mm-hmm.
But on a specific moment, you have to make some time. The question is, what is the tool you are using?
Yeah.
How well is it organized?
Yeah.
How well have you systemized the concept of cash flow forecast?
Yeah, that's good, especially systemizing. So, and then let's first start with, okay, cash planning. What is it, and why is it important?
Well, actually, if you go to your accountant, he will give you the numbers of the history of your business.
Mm-hmm.
For example, of the past year,
Yeah.
or if you going deeper, the past quarter, for example.
Yeah.
So that's the history. That's the actuals. But what with the next quarter? What about your next year? So that's cash flow forecasting. It's really it's making a budget, but more specifically, it's planning when cash will be available.
Yeah.
And what you will be doing with that cash.
Yeah.
Or otherwise, if you feel that a specific gap is coming, or a difficult situation is coming on a matter of cash flow forecasting, it's in time being able to cope with that situation.
Mm-hmm.
For example, to go to the bank and start a project with the bank to make some cash available for your company.
Yeah. And if you look at the situation, it's not just the really small entrepreneurs, also bigger companies are suffering from it, and it can lead to the end of organizations. If you don't have any cash, cash is king, they say. So the thing that I also see from the sales point of view, you have CRM software, customer relationship management software, and you have people that are still using Excel. So what is then the difference of either not having anything, using Excel, and then why would people need a tool to do it?
If you are using Excel, then you already do a very important part of the job, because it means you already know the importance of cash flow forecasting. So that's a good thing. People who come to us realize they put too much time in Excel. So indeed, as you say, every kind of business should use a cash flow forecast, especially growing businesses, because growing costs money, and then you want to be in control. Excel can sometimes, if you're a really small company, if you're by yourself or with 1 or 2 employees, then you probably have enough using Excel, because everything is still pretty simple. But if you're growing and you have some complexity in your business, then you will notice that it takes some time, weekly or monthly, to fill this Excel and to keep it up to date. And that's when tools come in handy, because you have these integrations with your bank, with your accounting system, but also with your CRM. And CRM and cash flow forecasting is really related, because what you expect in your deal funnel, in your sales pipeline, reflects your cash flow forecast.
Yeah, but not immediately, because the danger what some people see is the money coming in. Not everything is their own money. You have a bunch of costs. At the same time, you have taxes, you have maybe employees to pay. And that's a bit the gap I see with many growing companies. As you said, suddenly they have like maybe money coming in, but over the coming 1, 10, 12 months, if you look at longer term contracts, but then they want to grow and they don't have the money and then they have cash issues. So how did you manage to overcome this? Maybe in your first venture, or how did you handle this in your first venture? Because if you don't have the cash, you stop growing. So that zigzag, how did you overcome this?
Well, the first thing is to make a picture of the reality. And it's only when you know what the reality is that you can start looking for solutions. Yeah. Some companies have too much cash, and they're being too what's the word? Too
conservative.
Sorry?
Conservative,
yeah, indeed. So if you're being too conservative, you might miss out on opportunities. Yeah. Other companies are having cash difficulties, but it's only when you know the picture and when you really know what's coming for you that you can start looking for solutions. Yeah. If you, for example, have some long-term deals with customers where the money is coming in, for example, mainly at the end of the year, then you can talk with your bank and you can get a specific short-term loan to overcome these difficulties. Yeah. Or maybe you can just talk to your suppliers and say, give me some extra time to pay my invoices, because then it will be easier for me to pay my invoices, let's say in 3 months, but you will get your money. It's only when you have this first picture right that you can create some solutions.
Yeah. All right. So you have your first picture right. You have different types of solutions then, and then what? So you go to the bank or you go to your suppliers. Do you go there with an Excel sheet, or how do you go then? Or with the tool, how do you go about it then?
Well, I would say, based on your specific situation, you make a business case, because looking for solutions on the supplier or on the bank side are 2 possibilities, but also on the revenue side. Yeah. Because revenue is a very important aspect in cash flow forecasting. Yeah. What about your own revenue? Yeah. Are you up to scale? Are you generating enough revenue? Maybe your clients are paying you way too late. Maybe you are being a bank for your clients yourself and you don't want to be that.
Mhm.
So the revenue side is an important factor to consider when doing cash flow forecasting. Maybe when you get the picture straight, then a possible solution is to do more sales
Yeah.
and work on the sales side.
Or your
To
pricing. I mean, you can work on
Mhm.
your pricing. You have a lot of different things you can work on. But I like that. Say, okay, first we need the picture if you want to go somewhere, and maybe one of the things as well when we speak about entrepreneurs, a lot of them are very operational. I'm generalizing it, and then work a lot of their time in their business.
Mhm.
And cash planning is also important when you say you're looking at the future, working on your business. Where are we? Where
Absolutely.
do we want to go? And for this, you need cash. You need money. Um, and if you look at such a scenarios, do you have like specific um, testimonials of use case of people that were like in a certain situation? They were like running blind, and then when they got a solution, they moved to a completely different area where they have never thought they were going to be.
Well, the first situation that comes in mind or comes to mind is seasonal businesses.
Mm-hmm.
For example, retail
Yeah.
or even restaurant businesses. What happens there? What happens a lot in these situations is as businesses are very cash or revenue intensive in specific seasons. For example, summer or holidays. But in the season between, there isn't enough cash.
Yeah.
But cost or expenses are constant. So you want to foresee some cash when revenue is high, so you have some buffer when revenue is low.
Yeah.
So that's a specific situation. Um, Other situations are, for example, construction. What happens if you have multiple projects running, and at first you think our sales, these sales are going well, but what happens is if sales are stalling,
Yeah.
which is very actual right now. Prices are going up, so you want to when selling your construction project, you want to create multiple scenarios of the future.
Mm-hmm.
What if
Yeah.
sales are going well, but also what if sales are not going as expected?
Yeah.
Um, you always want to make sure you have enough cash upfront when investing in such projects.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, I like when you say scenarios. The but for me there is again, so when you look at the entrepreneurs, many people are working in their business, working a lot of hours. They might think, okay, scenarios, that's not for me, that is too complex. I just want to do what I just to get my thing going. So in my opinion, there's quite some evangelization, awareness creation that that needs to be done to make entrepreneurs much more successful. What are things that you can do or that you do to create more awareness in the sector or in the market?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, first of all, there's an important difference between Excel and I think software automation tools, because when you're using Excel, creating multiple scenarios of the future is a big job.
Yeah.
It takes some time to create multiple scenarios in Excel. So that's why, and I don't want to push too much on our solution here, but that's why some software tools are really great in that aspect. On the other hand, when you ask me what can we do
Mm-hmm.
to make some awareness, create some awareness in the sector, well, we talk to a lot of entrepreneurs and show them what we are doing with our software. But on the other hand, I started a podcast as well, to inspire other entrepreneurs
Yeah.
with stories of entrepreneurs themselves who did a 0 to 1. So I'm also active in that space.
Yeah, we put a link then in the comments when it publishes. Yeah.
All right, great. And also we have created some content as well, some cash flow checklists and an ebook where people can be inspired to do some cash flow forecasting.
Yeah. Yeah. And, the again, I'm coming back to the entrepreneurs. I mean, when you work operationally, they say we're gonna work a couple of more hours. For me, at the same time, when you work at planning at the future, for me, the time aspect sounds very important, rather than doing those extra 10 hours, 20 hours that some people are doing just to earn more money. When you start planning, you might see the time horizon. If I work 10 hours faster or smarter, it's a completely different way of working, then it might give a nice overview on and the cash position, the planning they can be doing. So yeah, it is a bit of mind switch, what we said in the beginning of the conversation.
Yeah, indeed. Many entrepreneurs have the how should I say it, the habit of waking up in the morning and looking at their bank account.
Yeah.
So the number in your bank app is less relevant than the number you're going to. So if you are maintaining a cash flow forecast, then the number in 3 months is much more relevant than the number today on your bank account.
Yeah.
But this means you should already have a system in place. When you created a system for yourself, for example, in a spreadsheet, then by doing this every day, for example, for 10 minutes, you are 2 steps forward on looking at your bank account each day.
Yeah. And especially the money and the proposal that you sent and the deals that you close, that's not the money that will end up in your bank account, because you have the taxes, you have those employees costs
Absolutely.
that we spoke about before. So were there like any unforeseen situation that's okay, listen, for this you absolutely need a cash planning because it stopped me in my first venture, and if I would have known, I would have done this differently. So we spoke already about the system, we spoke about the scenarios. Are there other things that you would have done differently on the liquidity side?
You mean in my case, in my first venture?
No, that you would know after your learnings, that now you would give as tips to the people.
Yes, many entrepreneurs make a financial plan to go to the bank and get a loan, or to start their business because they need to.
Yeah.
What you really should do is make a financial plan for yourself, and not one time, or not when you start a business, or not when you have to go to the bank, but you have to keep this document alive.
Yeah.
You always want a financial plan.
Yeah.
It's something. It's your reality. And this financial plan consists indeed of a profit and loss statement.
Mm-hmm.
But your cash flow forecast is at least as important than your P&L statement or your balance.
Yeah.
Because when you run out of money, then you run out of business. And okay, everybody is saying it, cash is king. But it really means something. Especially when you're having growth plans. Growing costs a lot of money. You first have to invest, and then you get the revenue afterwards. It's not going the other way around. And you really want to know upfront how much does it going to cost. When in the worst case scenario, when are we going run out of money? Mm-hmm. And that's the capital you need to make your growth a reality.
Yeah. In tech we talk about having the runway.
Absolutely.
So if you look at then, what would be then a healthy runway? I've seen different numbers. You have very aggressive number that says 3 months and then that's it. I've seen 6 months. I know companies that have 6 months. I know companies that have 12 months. What for you would be like a healthy number?
Well, it depends on I think multiple factors. If you are a B2B SaaS business, then it's a whole different story than if you're, for example, in retail or in construction. Mm-hmm. If you're already profitable, it's different. But if you're a startup, then I think you should have a runway of 18 months plus.
Okay.
If you're a small business owner, and you want to be profitable within a few years, I'm going to make a bold statement, because I think you should be able to have 3 years of runway to be safe.
Yeah.
Why is that? Because I see a lot of small businesses start who are already gone out of business within the first year.
Mhm.
And that's, for me, is really hard to understand, because it means you didn't think things through
Yeah.
on before. Really, when you start, for example, a restaurant, you should have the means to stay alive for 3 years.
Mhm.
If you're not able to stay alive for the first 3 years without having much or enough revenue coming in, then don't start the business.
Yeah, yeah, I agree, and you really see it happening, and that's the trouble that you see. People see, okay, the company doesn't exist anymore, but the personal issues and the personal problems behind the scenes, it's
Mm,
can be very dramatic. And
absolutely.
for me, that's also the difference. I'm going to write a post about it. It's the difference between a bricoleur, somebody who is working in their workshop or playing in their workshop, and a real entrepreneur. It's not just doing. You need to plan, and I think that's why cash and planning in general and having a systemized approach are so critical in this. And this is why, for me, that was for me very interesting to talk to you here about today, because again, cash is king. You need your runway. You need to be successful. You need to have a plan so that you can assess how is our business doing versus the plan,
Absolutely.
and then how can we mitigate certain unforeseen situations that always
Hmm.
happen. It takes
Hmm.
longer to sell. It takes longer to build. It takes longer to market. So everything takes much more time in that people expect themselves.
Yeah, that's really the case. I mean, even in our current business, if I would start over, I would do many things differently.
Hmm.
Um, Having some revenue up front uh, is so important,
Yeah.
and having an image of the revenue you are going to generate is so important. So, but I'm sure that you know that better than me. But sell first, build later
Yeah.
is, I think, a very good point to start with.
Yeah, exactly. That's true. Yeah. So we come at the end of the episode. So what would be then, if of everything we said, if you say, okay, what are the three things and how would we start with them? If for you are an entrepreneur that has already an existing business, but it's okay, listen, if you want to get our planning right, these are the top three things, or whatever the top four things, five things that you would do.
So if you are already running a business, I would say get a system in place,
Hmm.
get a financial system in place where you have a real-time view on your financial reality. Um, with which I mean that you know what the history of your business is, right? You know what you expect of the future, and you have some comparison between them,
Yeah.
so you can steer at the right moment. So you want to compare your forecast to your actuals. And then secondly, um, at least every quarter, but I would suggest every month, do some scenario planning, make some scenarios of the future, where you will put your growth in.
Hmm.
So these are the things for me that I would advise to businesses from my point of view.
Yeah, very brilliant. And again, not many entrepreneurs think about this. And again, it's a difference working in your business and working on your business.
Definitely.
Um, I really like the advice. I liked our conversation. Thank you so
Me
much
too.
for sharing your knowledge, and I wish you all the best with a cash planner.
Thank you very much for your invitation. Glad to
All right.
be here.
Have a nice day.
You too, Cedric. Bye. Ciao.
Cheers. Bye.